We're joined this morning by Greene County Mayor David Crum, who's made it through the snow to talk with us about the latest happenings in county government. Mayor Crum, glad to have you with us as always.
Good morning, Jim. Good morning, Greene County. It's good to be back here another month to go over some things from the commission, some other highlights in our community, things may be going on.
Well, one thing that is going to be coming up here shortly is the property tax deadline is coming up on Saturday, and you've talked with County Trustee Nathan Holt, certainly about the weather situation and some of the closings that they've had there. You've got some information about people wanting to pay their taxes before the end of the week.
Yeah, the taxes still are due the 28th. Nathan Holt had checked. There's not an extension on that. If it could be postmarked like the next day, but the next day in this case is Sunday, so that's not an option. So we can't give any grace period because of the snow or grant anything. So taxes are still due the 28th. So hopefully get out and get in there and get them done, because we've got a horrible forecast coming our way late this afternoon, this evening.
The EMS board met a couple weeks ago, and of course, as everyone knows, Director Robert Sain is going to be retiring at the end of this month, and there is a committee that's been formed to search for a new EMS director. How's that search coming about?
Right now, we're just working really quick with it. I'd had an individual that I knew that I'd contacted that, based on some other recommendations, thought would just really be good, but it's just not a good time for him right now to take it on. We're actually talking to an adjoining county about allowing a person to come down maybe on a short-term leave of absence to give us a little bit of breathing room to look at someone a little bit more long-term. A lot of people don't want that interim position. Of course, we're an at-will state, so we don't give lifetime contracts, but most people want a little bit more security, and so it give us a chance to look a little bit more in depth at the who we're looking for. If it could be more permanent. Again, we're still looking from CTAS. I'd got an email this morning that he'd planned to come up in about a week and can't make it because of the snow and where he's got behind. We're going to look at private options, but kind of like you said, Jim, we want somebody that can come in and make sure those ambulances are running and meeting the needs of the public whenever they need that emergency medical service.
One issue that's obviously been out there for a number of weeks now and months is the proposal to increase the wheel tax, and the petition deadline was this last week, and they've submitted the petitions, and now the election commission is going through and trying to validate the signatures, and I guess right now it's just kind of a wait and see what happens with that.
It is. I talked to Donna Bergner. She said it would take about 4 weeks for her to go through and look at those signatures and verify, and if they meet those, then her commission would call a meeting to verify that they are and to call for a possible election. Then we'll have to make a determination whether we just rescind that resolution or where we go, or if the county commission decides that they believe there's enough support to proceed with an election. We don't have that budgeted. It would have to be extra money coming out. The state attorney general has an opinion that if it's called for, we have to, but that's an opinion, and I tend to disagree with that, and I think our county attorney did, that if we choose not to pursue it, then we just let it fall by the wayside based on that referendum request.
This past Monday night was the county commission meeting, postponed a week because of last week's snowstorm. Some of the items on the agenda this week, certainly if you go down the list of the agenda, you see all these appropriations and money that's been budgeted because of selling surplus equipment and recycling and other projects. And that's been just a project or just a process that's really seemed to have really taken hold, and trying to find some of that money in some places that maybe necessarily hadn't been found before.
We have, Tim Armstrong's our new solid waste, of course Sheriff Hankins, and they're looking to get rid of some of that property and do some things, and this will allow Tim to do some upgrades to his facility down there that he's wanting to do that we've not budgeted, by him getting rid of some of that old equipment down there. The sheriff, he's sold a lot of things that have been sitting around for a number of years. On GovDeals, that's a website that governments use a lot of times to sell surplus properties, just GovDeals. and actually closed some out this past Friday, some items that were on there. So we've been keeping our purchasing agent pretty busy posting those things, but it does help us to pick up some things there along that we hadn't budgeted for and do some things that were needing to be done.
One presentation that was made during the meeting on Monday was from the Greene County Partnership, talking about the 3-Star program, and just explain a little bit about that and how that's beneficial to the county.
It was. Ashley Shelton came, and I'll just tell you, before I kind of became mayor and even on commission stuff, I see these plaques that we were a 3-star community, and I thought it was just those nice warm fuzzies that you sent off that made it look good, but there actually is some economic benefit to us as we come on down, like the CDBG grant, Community Development Block Grant, that helps provide funding to, in this case, going to put in some water lines, help that. You can actually qualify for additional grant monies based at the same level, or you may be able to get some lower rates on those grants that you have to pay back. So it really is good to be a 3-star community. It provides some positive economic benefits for our community.
Another presentation was on energy saving program for the county, and just explain a little bit about what's going on with that.
We took a bond out some years ago to upgrade the efficiencies. That upgraded some windows, storm windows, some insulation, allows us to monitor our facilities a lot better on heating and air. We've found facilities as we continue to bring them online where fans and things may have been running for 24 hours even whenever that facility's not in use or that room. So it allows us to save some money in there. I think it's got a 15-year payback overall as the estimate, which is a long time, but I think it was a $5 million investment that we put. We're starting to see additional payoffs as we're bringing some more things online.
Jumping back, this is from a couple weeks ago when the Budget and Finance Committee met. There was a presentation made about the overall fiscal health of the county, particularly when it comes to some of the bonds and notes that are outstanding. And the impression that I got from that presentation is that the county, there's going to be some short-term hurt with some of the bonds that are coming due over the next couple years or so, but long-term, the condition seems to be looking pretty positive.
Yeah, the long-term, those bonds, if you compare us to some other counties and things, our bond agent indicated that our debt is not as bad as other places. But it is the ability to pay those off, and that's what I think it was really good. This commission, whenever we really looked at that wheel tax, was looking to put some money in there that would take care of improving that financial condition to be able to pay those bonds off as they come due, or if the ability to pay them off in advance instead of doing what we've had to do in some of the past, is the old kick the can down the road, as they like to say, is to refinance, which I just think that's not a good way to go. I like to be able to pay my debt when it comes due.
Some of the recent storms that we've had certainly have put a real crunch on the highway department, have really taxed their equipment, taxed their resources to an extreme as far as getting men out on the road, supplies and whatnot. Have you talked to David Weems at all? Have you got any kind of has this kind of put a dent in their funding a little bit?
Well, we've talked. He actually made a comment yesterday about spending more on some overtime and stuff than what he had hoped to at this point. I think he had. This was as of before yesterday. Had put out like 500 ton of salt. They're out there. I'd got a call actually even from someone that was upset, didn't think they'd been out, and when it gets down to a certain temperature, the salt just doesn't do any good. It just will not melt the ice, so there comes a point that there's not a reason to be out there trying to clear. That's kind of my statement. I'm not speaking for David Weems, but I just know that there comes that point that you can't do anything. Fortunately, we're in East Tennessee, and hopefully that point will pass here real soon. I think we're all tired of this weather, but we have had a pretty bad week and another storm coming through tonight. Bill Brown calls a webinar through emergency management that different people come to. We usually have someone rescue squad, 911, EMS, the sheriff, the chief of police, light and power, and myself come, and probably some other people that I forgot as I'm trying to go around the room. But David Weems is there, and we kind of develop a plan and look and see what's coming our way, and to develop a little bit of a plan of response there as to who's going to make sure we know who's doing what.
Anything else going on as far as county government goes, or as far as this past Monday's meeting that you want to point out or observe?
I think we've hit it. It was a pretty quick meeting overall. A lot of those mid-year kind of adjustments that you're making as far as that money coming in and being able to allocate it. Again, as we've said, we're predicting another good snow tonight. I know we've talked, that's putting a crunch on you trying to figure out doing ball schedules and what you're going to do and get these games made up. Do want to mention while we're on that, we've got a note here. We always talk about solid waste a little bit at the commission. It's one of those things we don't talk about, but it's impacted us at the solid waste. This weather has. We've tried to make some adjustments, and the weather's just not cooperated with us. Those of you that operate diesels know the problem you can have, and whenever it was down to that 0 degree, we just could not get vehicles operational to even get them out to try to empty. I hate that we've had to adjust those hours and make it more inconvenient, but we've got to think about the safety of employees, the safety of the public, and sometimes you just can't get equipment out and get it operational when it gets down to that 0 degree. Tim Armstrong called me one morning. He had 3 that he got running, but they were trying to gel up on him, and one, the transmission just wasn't operational. So we had tried this past Saturday we're going to want to extend some hours, and that didn't work out. So he and I have had a conversation this morning. We're really trying to get that to where people can get out and take care of their garbage situation. So we've not forgotten it and just closing down. We're doing all we can.
One other issue that I just thought of here while we're discussing some of these issues is the budget, which is the process has already gotten underway. It was something that you said you wanted to try and get started early, and at the past Budget and Finance Committee meeting a couple weeks ago, it was a good suggestion I thought was put forward by Commissioner Brad Peters to kind of almost itemize each of the line items and give a little description so that the department heads can make their case for their budgets, and really kind of make it as transparent as possible and explain out what each of the items are, instead of saying office supplies or whatever. Just kind of give it a little bit more meaning behind it.
I think that really is good as we break down those other salaries and stuff that show in there. How many people is that really, and the effect it has, because sometimes you just see a big salary number and you don't know how many people that breaks down to. As you say, we don't have a whole lot of travel, but where are we going? What are we doing? It lets people know that we're actually going to places that are required for our job, especially the Sheriff's Department has to go to trainings and things like that. Of course, I cut mine out and I pay for my own if I make those trips to Nashville or things, but I thought it was a good idea. We're probably going just a little bit more. The Budget Committee meets Wednesday. Now, I think when we get there, I kind of agree with them. This needs to be more of a commission decision on this budget than just that small committee bringing something that we hash out later on. So we're kind of taking a little different approach to this budget.
The process will continue on here until a number's found, and try and keep it within all the parameters, and hopefully it won't be September until everything is decided this year. I
really hope, and it's a goal, and you got to have one, that we have this budget ready at the end of June so we know where we're.
Hope everybody stays safe out there, and we'll hope you stay safe as well, and we'll be back here before we know it, because this is right at the end of the month here. It'll be March before we know it, and the next commission meeting will be coming up in just a couple weeks, and we'll be right back at it all over again.
Thanks, Jim. Looking forward to talking to you next month.